Good evening everyone, and a real quick video this. I'm building the Dragon M142 HIMARS high mobility rocket artillery system basically. The HIMARS is a media darling. The media absolutely love this. It's a game-changing weapon. It's gonna change everything. The HIMARS is wonderful. HIMARS is gonna bring victory. Okay. The HIMARS is a truck which has some armour on it, which has a rocket system on the back. That's what it is. That's what it does. So I'm calling this video Busting the HIMARS Myth. Now look, the HIMARS itself as a system is just a smaller version of the multiple launch rocket system that then became the guided multiple launch rocket system. Originally it was a tracked vehicle, the M270, where you had two of these pods side by side. Introduced in the mid to late 1980s, America, NATO, Britain has them, Israel has them, Germany has them. They replaced the LARS system, LARS 1 and 2. It's a staple, really, of modern NATO warfare. So why is it so special? Well, the M270 is a tracked vehicle. It doesn't have the strategic mobility that the Americans felt they needed, so they took one of the tube launchers, condensed it, so it only has one tube launching system as opposed to two side by side. They mounted it on a truck, originally without armour, then they armoured it with really what you'd say is sort of bulletproof, basic armour, might keep the crew safe against a few shell fragments. So what you have is a lightly armoured truck with a rocket launcher on the back and a radio and computer system. That's the HIMARS. It's really all you need to know. Well, I wish it was. The HIMARS can accommodate the 6-round launcher here, as modelled by a Dragon, or it can have the single launcher pod, which is a ATACMS missile pod. Now, the ATACMS has been around for a long time. The MIM140 has some service life enhancement packages because really it is a old missile now. Now, a HIMARS is not a game changer. A HIMARS on its own is a HIMARS. That's what it is. The game changer comes from when you plug in a HIMARS into the NATO information surveillance target acquisition and intelligence system. That converts this truck with a launcher via the computerized system into a useful weapons system. Now, I do use the term game changer there because everyone uses it. I think you understand it. My personal view is it's not game changing, but it's a very useful piece of equipment when it's plugged into this. So what you have is you have the whole of NATO, from satellites, from U2 spy aircraft, RQ-4B, Global Hawks, Reapers. You have the RC-135Ws, rivet joints. You've got all the aircraft, all the sensors, snooping up all the enemy's intelligence. You're sucking up their signals, you're sucking up all of their communications, you're working out where they are using radars, you're working out where they are using sideways looking radars from over NATO territory. You're using drones, large drones, small drones, medium drones, FPV drones. You're using observers on the ground. You're using human intelligence sources. That's basically spies behind the enemy's lines. You're sucking up their signals and you're putting that into a targeting system. You're communicating the targeting system to the HIMARS. The HIMARS then comes out of its hide, drives to the location, elevates its missile firing tubes and fires the ammunition type that you have chosen to use against that target. And this is what makes the HIMARS and the MLRS and the GIMLRS, as it's called, the Guided Multiple Launch Rocket System, work. You have a range of rounds. You have GPS guided rounds, the GIMLRS. You have dumb rounds with short range, but you can put a lot of them on the target at the same time. Bang, bang, bang. You have cluster munitions, which can be used to attack troops in the open and armour in the open or enemy defensive positions. You have the guided small diameter bomb, which is basically where they've stuck a GBU-39 on the end of the rocket to make sort of a guided rocket bomb. And then you have, of course, the ATACMS, which is the great game changer. The ATACMS is basically just a big missile which is guided to the target. That's it. So the HIMARS itself is not a game changer. If you are going to look at what is a game changer, it's the intel and all of this setup here, which allows this to be effective. Without this, the HIMARS is just a truck. The HIMARS does not find its own targets. It does not identify its own targets. It does not observe its own targets. It does not have a direct fire capability. All of the work for it and the target choice is done at this level. You don't commit the HIMARS and the MLRS against just any old target. These weapon systems are reserved for high priority targets, enemy convoys on the move, enemy attacks that need to be broken up, command centres where the enemy is refueling their vehicles. This is a weapon system which is just another component of an elaborate kill chain. The media make these HIMARS out to be something they are not. What's really important when you see the media talking about HIMARS and talking about the latest American weapons package to Ukraine is this. What are they supplying to Ukraine? If they're supplying GPS guided weapons, that is a longer range weapon with a deeper strike capability than the dumb weapons. If they're supplying cluster munitions, it's probably because they are out of the high explosive ones or out of the guided GPS ones. If they're supplying ATACMS, that means that they are trying to go after longer range targets, either inside Russia, as they have done recently in hitting some bridges, or deeper inside the Russian lines in Ukraine. The same with the guided small diameter bomb. So when you just see the media say HIMARS ammunition, it's meaningless unless you know what the type of ammunition is. And if you want to know what the production state of the weapons are and what the Americans are opening up, you need to look at the ammunition type. Now, the ammunition type is not a invulnerable, invincible, all-conquering ammunition type. GIMLARS, or Guided Multiple Launch Rocket System ammunition, or a guided small diameter bomb, are very effective. They have been very effective in Afghanistan. The multiple launch rocket system, where you were just lobbing tons and tons of dumb high explosive warheads and tons of cluster munitions at the Iraqi army in 1990 to 91, was very effective. But the game has moved on. So the counter to HIMARS and MLRS and this ammunition is actually a counter for the ammunition type. Now, you can't jam the dumb weapons and the cluster weapons, but they have a short range. The ones that are going after the high priority targets will be GPS ones and your ATACMS. So the enemy uses GPS spoofing, GPS jamming, to break the link for the ammunition to the satellite. It uses SAMs, surface-to-air missile systems, AA systems, guns, missile launchers, Pantsers, Tor M1, the modernised ones, to go after the ATACMS. The ATACMS, the enemy tries to shoot down. The other guided ones, the enemy tries to break the link to the satellite, which is telling them where to go. And then, to break this link between all of the command systems which are processing all of the intelligence, the enemy uses signals jamming to try and cut that link. So on its own, HIMARS is not a game changer. It's a truck with a rocket system and a computer. If you want to talk about what is important, focus on the important stuff, which is this side of the equation, and down here, this side of the ammunition. I hope that helps. I'm going to get this painted, but that is just hopefully something which I hope dispels a few media myths about the M142 HIMARS.